Hello, my beautiful Holy Home sisters. It's been a few weeks since I connected here with you, and I'm so happy to be back. Today we're talking about asking Shailos that are awkward or uncomfortable. The first thing I want to do is make a parallel to the Parshios that we're reading these weeks. We are in the process of leaving Mitzrayim, and there is a very powerful word that's used when it came to the actual process of leaving, and that word is b'chipazon, which meant that they had to leave in that moment, in that second, immediately. And the Mefarshim teach us that if they would not have left right then in that exact moment, they would not have been zocheh to leave Mitzrayim at all. Whoa, that's crazy. Why is that? Because in Judaism, we believe in the sanctity of time. Time is everything. We have certain mitzvot that are designated to certain times. Some of us are exempt from certain time-bound mitzvot. There is time that is allocated to every little detail in Judaism. There's a specific moment when we light the Shabbos candles. When it comes to Yom Kippur, it's the biggest mitzvah to be eating, and one split second later, it is probably the worst thing we can do to continue eating. Everything is connected to the sanctity of time in Judaism. And that's why the exact moment that a woman has to go to the mikveh is a very, very significant moment. And that mitzvah was custom made for that woman to fulfill at that exact time. And that's why it is critical that we know if we can go to the mikveh or not on a certain day. If we have a shaila and we decide that we would rather be more stringent than say, just in case, I'll wait another day. Now, I know that all of you are aware of the detriment of going to the mikveh earlier than the designated time. But did you know that it's also detrimental to delay going to the mikveh and not to go on the day that is destined for you to go? And I know that it could be awkward, it could be uncomfortable, it could be weird to take your underwear or take your badika cloth to the Rav. But you know what? That's what the Rav is there for. That's literally his job. And he's not looking at it from the same place as you are. You're looking at it from a place of, I'm showing the Rav my underwear? The Rav is looking at it very clinically from a halacha perspective. And he is paskening that the same way he's going to pasken whether or not your pot is kosher or treif. The thing is that so often women pasken their own Shailos. We decide that, oh yeah, you know what, I'm going to be extra stringent. I'm not sure if this is good or not, so I'll just wait another day. Or we even decide altogether that, no, this color is for sure bad. I'm not even worth asking. Ladies, I can't even tell you how many times and how many circumstances there were in which women decided to be extra stringent and paskin that their cloths were impure. And in reality, they weren't. They were totally fine, and they could have gone to the mikveh that night. I have my own personal story. After my third child was born, I was living in Eretz Yisrael, and I got clean. I decided to do a badika, and I did one, I did two, clean. And then all of a sudden, like on my third day, it was red, literally red. And I said, oh no, gotta start again. And I said, you know what, let me just ask, because you never know. So I decided to go to a Rav, and especially because it was after birth, I said, you know, there could be so many different things going on. I went to my Rav, he took a look at it, and he said, Tahar. I said, what? But Rav, it's red, literally fire red. He said, it's Tahar. I said, okay, so what do I do? I'm obviously sensitive, it's after birth. He said, don't do any more badikos now until the last day, until day 7. I said, okay, didn't. Day 7 comes, I did a badika, fire engine red. I said, oh my gosh, I have to start again now? But I went to the Rav and I said, you told me not to do till day 7. I did on day 7, and look, it's literally bright red. He looked at it and he said, Tahar, go to the mikveh. I said, I can't go to the mikveh when I just had a red badika. He looked at me and he said, do you trust me? I said, yes, I trust you. He said, then you will go to the mikveh. This is totally fine. And it was such an eye-opening moment for me, because I thought I knew better, and I was ready to wait another week, to wait another month. I know women who sometimes aren't clean and don't go to the mikvah until 4 or 5 months after birth. Most of the time, it's not necessary. Under most circumstances, women are clean and can go to the mikvah 6, 7, tops 8 weeks later. But they don't know because they're not asking. They're just deciding. We need to step out of our awkwardness and realize that going to a Rav to ask a Shaila is actually a mitzvah. And while we're on the conversation of awkward, can I just tell you that I don't even really believe in awkward. Awkward is a mindset. If you decide to feel awkward about something, you're gonna feel awkward about it. If you decide that it's not awkward, you're not gonna feel awkward about it. This goes for everything. You walk into a simcha, you walk into a wedding, and you know that awkward moment when you walk in, you're looking around, do I know anyone? Where do I sit? Where do I go? Who do I talk? Doesn't have to be. I know people who don't go to simchas because they don't like that awkward moment. It doesn't have to be awkward. You're deciding to make it awkward. Did you ever say something that was just so weird? Sometimes you open your mouth and just the strangest things pop out, and sometimes you even tell yourself, don't say that, don't say that, don't say that, and all of a sudden you say it, and then you're like, oh, that was so awkward. Why was it awkward? It doesn't have to be awkward. You just made it awkward because you decided it's awkward. But if you just laugh about it and you turn it into a joke, or you make believe it didn't happen, or what, that's not awkward. Things are only awkward when we decide they're awkward. So if we have the mindset that it's awkward to go bring a shaila to a Rav, then of course we're going to feel awkward. But if we have the mindset that this is Torah, this is a mitzvah, that I get to bring this to the Rav, and he gets to tell me whether or not I can go to the mikvah on the day that was destined for me to go, and I get to experience the sanctity of time. By the way, whose mitzvah is the sanctity of time? It's our mitzvah, the women. That is the whole idea of Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh was created to help us regulate time so that we're able to experience the sanctity of time. It teaches us the significance, the importance of time. That's our mitzvah. Rosh Chodesh is a holiday for women. So let's understand that the first thing is a mindset shift. The first thing is, it's only awkward if I decide it's awkward. And if I say awkward doesn't exist, then awkward won't exist. And the second thing is that it's actually a mitzvah to go and show this to the Rav so that we know whether or not we can be mekayim other mitzvos in the time that they were designated for us to fulfill those mitzvos. Now here's another point. I've encountered many women who have determined on their own that their stain or the color on their cloth or underwear was impure and did not ask a shaila, and therefore they missed their ovulation. And this happened month after month after month, year after year after year. And they thought that they were struggling with fertility issues, and meanwhile, they were just waiting way too long to go to the mikvah unnecessarily. And if they would have only asked their Rav, then they would have been spared from so much unnecessary distress. Now, have in mind, you as a woman don't have to be the one to go to your Rav. Your husband can go to the Rav as well. Or most Rabbanim that I know have a mailbox where you can just slip it in an envelope. You write your phone number and they call, and whatever details, day 3 after clean or after birth or whatever it is. And then they just call you back and tell you if it is kosher or not, if it's tahar or not. And you don't even have to face the Rav or speak to the Rav if you don't want to. So there are so many ways to get around the potential awkwardness if that's what you want to do. Now here's the thing, more is not always better. We live in a society of abundance, and we always think that the more we have, the happier we'll be. The more we have, the better life will be. More is not always better. Sometimes, very often, less is better. A Rav who can say yes very often is more of an expert than a Rav who always says no. It's easy to say no. It's much harder to say yes. You have to really know what you're talking about to say yes. I remember when I lived in Eretz Israel, there was a Rav there who was known to be a baki in colors. That was his main thing, colors. And he almost always said that the red that people saw on their cloth was tar. But he was an extreme expert in this. And we used to joke about him that one time this Rav was driving down the street and he went through a red light, and the police came over and said, "Excuse me, you just went through the red light." And he looked at the police and he said, "You call that red?" So that's a joke we used to say about him, because he just knew his halacha so well that anything that anyone else thought was going to be bad, to him was good. So we need to trust our Rabbanim. We need to know that a chumrah is not always better. Tafasta meruba lo tafasta. Sometimes when you have so much of everything, you end up having nothing. Because being committed to something, whether it's to Torah and mitzvahs, whether it's a relationship, being committed means you're always looking for a way in. When you're not committed to something, you're always looking for a way out. So when you look for a way in, it means you're looking for a reason to say yes. We're not looking for a reason to say no. And that's what the Rav can help us with. And that's why it all goes down to mindset. What's my mindset? Do I think it's awkward to ask a Rav? Do I think I know better than a Rav? Do I think it's better to be more machmer? Not in this case. Over here, it is better to find the MS. What's the MS? We can't always know on our own, and that's why we have our Rabbanim who are there from a perspective of halacha. There's no other reason to feel awkward, to feel uncomfortable. You're going to ask him a question, a shaila on a mitzvah. That's it. So I hope this was helpful. And Be'ez Hashem, you should have so much clarity, and you should get out of the awkwardness of everything in life, by the way. Don't ever feel awkward. It's just not worth it. You enjoy life so much more when you can learn that there's really no such thing as awkward, and just laugh and have a great time and just be lighter spirited. And in the schus of looking for the emes and asking your Rav, your Shailos, Be'ez Hashem, your life should be filled with bracha. Lots and lots and lots of bracha. Okay, I'll see you next week, Be'ez Hashem. Have an amazing day. Have an amazing week. Love you all.